So many stories to cover tonight. But the big story on India tonight is, of course, the change of guard at Reliance Jio. Yes, Mukesh Ambani has stepped down as the director of the company, and his son Akash Ambani is now taking over as chairman of the board. While Pankaj Mohan Pawar has been named as the new managing director, it is surprising as this move was. Well, it wasn't really shocking because if you recall, if you go back to the Ambani Family Day function that took place in December last year, the tycoon had in fact teased this entire development, the succession plan that it was to roll out. It was the first time that Mukesh Ambani spoke about succession. He said this, and I quote, "Reliance is now in the process of effecting a momentous leadership transition from seniors belonging to my generation to the next generation of young leaders. I would like this process to be accelerated." This is what we heard Mukesh Ambani say at that Family Day event in December last year. Now, with one step of the change getting affected, let's put this in context. Let's understand what has happened. My colleague Vinny Motiwala is here with the details of this change at guard at Jio. It's an important event as far as Reliance is concerned, and Jio was something that the young guard was already taking care of. So if you can help us understand this announcement and put it in context with what Mukesh Ambani has spoken about already at that family meeting, that event.
So in terms of a big announcement coming in, Reliance Jio board today has approved the appointment of Akash Ambani as the chairman of the board, and Mukesh Ambani has resigned as the director of the company with effect from June 27th. Now in place of him, we'll have Pankaj Mohan Pawar, who will be taking over as the managing director of the company with effect from 27th June. Now, obviously, this is a succession plan coming in terms of Reliance Jio, and we already know that Akash Ambani as well as Isha Ambani was spearheading Reliance Jio and the part of that as well. So surely in terms of this is a succession plan coming in over there, Akash Ambani will be the chairman now of the board at Reliance Jio. Surely a big announcement coming in there and a one to watch out for in terms of a big company. Also in terms of Reliance Jio, they have named Raminder Singh Gujral and KV Chaudhary as directors as well. So big announcements coming in over there. Mukesh Ambani has resigned from the director, and Pankaj Mohan Pawar will be taking over as the managing director from June 27th. So keep an eye on that.
Thanks very much, Vinny. This helps us understand what has happened, but let's get context. And as far as perspective is concerned, who better than Shailesh Haribhakti joining us right now to help us understand what has happened. And also joining us tonight is leading corporate lawyer HP Ranina. Good evening, gentlemen. First to you, Mr. Haribhakti. Now that Mukesh Ambani has resigned from the board of his group's telecom arm, Reliance Jio, he's handed over the reins of the companies to his elder son, Akash Ambani. I want to understand from you how you see this move in light of the entire succession plan that is getting triggered with this move.
So first of all, my very best wishes to Akash Ambani for making a brilliant success out of Jio, which I'm certain he will. And I think Mukesh Bhai deserves all praise for having actually implemented the succession plan that he briefly mentioned a few months ago. I think it is the best way to make sure that a young person with broad shoulders starts taking huge responsibility and starts finding his own place in the sun, so to speak. And I have no doubt that Akash will do that with all the training and inputs that he has received, not only from Mukesh Bhai, but from the entire atmosphere that he has been a part of. So to my mind, this is an exceptionally positive move. It is a true handing over of charge. It is giving space to a youngster in a very highly technology-driven business. And to my mind, it is something that will bring huge value to the investors and the shareholder base of Jio, and of course to its customers. And I am one of the very proud customers of Jio.
That's a very laudatory statement you've made, Mr. Haribhakti. Let's also understand from Mr. Ranina how he's viewing it. Mr. Ranina, Jio, of course, a unit of Reliance Industries. Their business at Reliance spans from oil refining and petrochemicals to retail, media, new energy. How do you see the transition progressing from here beyond Jio? What are the precedents that they are likely to follow? And are there any legal considerations or issues of corporate governance that may crop up along this succession path at Reliance, you believe?
Well, let me share the views of Shailesh that it's a wonderful way of, having a succession plan in place. And you can't have somebody like, Akash, who is one of the most technologically savvy young men. I think he's the best person to take over the reins of Reliance Jio. And I'm sure it will reach much higher, steps in getting it to better and better deal for the customers, for the shareholders, and for all stakeholders. Now, as far as the governance plan is concerned, I think the corporate governance issues are well in hand as far as the Reliance Group is concerned. While there may be family members who run the business, but it's a highly professional company. All the Reliance companies are generally managed by professional people, and Reliance Jio is going to be no exception. In fact, the way Reliance Jio has come up in the past few years is unprecedented in the history of India. And with the new inputs like 5G technology being introduced, which I'm sure is going to happen very shortly, I think Reliance Jio will have a tremendous role to play in the economic and industrial development of this country. So technologically, it is the best move that can possibly be made, because a young man like Akash will be able to handle the pressures of this ever-changing technological space that we have today.
Mr. Haribhakti, Reliance, as we understand it, has these three broad businesses. There's oil refining and petrochemicals, there's retail, and digital service that include telecom. While retail and digital services, they are separate, wholly owned subsidiaries. This oil to chemical business is a functional division of Reliance. And the new energy business is with the parent firm, as we know. So in Reliance's new structure, there are these different business verticals, and they are run like independent businesses. There is no interdependence between these group companies, whether it is to raise capital or to service debt. Do you see the succession plan by the Ambani family a consolidation in a way of ownership in the company?
Well, the extent of ownership of the Ambani family is very solid. It is very comfortable. And so it's a very secure ownership position for the family. So this does not change anything. But the important thing to notice is that there is a clear demarcation into at least three very distinct possible leadership roles that can be played by Mukesh Bhai's three children. And I think as we go forward, we will see a leadership transition at the right time in all the major businesses. I'm not going to predict who will go into which business and how that will play out. But I think the positioning that has been put in place makes the group look very rock solid. To have a position of net debt being zero, to have an immense amount of growth potential, and the profitability of even the traditional business being what it is and likely to be for the next few years. I think a very solid, large enterprise of which India is so proud, the highest capitalized company in the country, well managed, well governed, as Mr. Ranina so appropriately put it. I think the future is in very, very good hands. And that's what we all need to look forward to.
And while Akash and Isha, they've both been pretty active in the group's new age businesses of retail and telecom. We've seen Anand Ambani he's been looking at the renewable energy and the oil and chemical units of Reliance as director. From a strategic standpoint, Mr. Ranina, how do you imagine the management control changing here on, considering that Mukesh Ambani is the chairman and managing director of Reliance, and Neeta Ambani, of course, is the director on the board.
Well, Mukesh, I think, will continue to play a very decisive role for the next 10 years. That's my view of things. And Mukesh will now concentrate on the new energy platform, which is to introduce green hydrogen in India as one of the cleanest fuels that can ever be introduced in any country. So I have a feeling that Mukesh will concentrate more on these new energy, green energy projects which he has in mind. And his children, Akash and Anand and Isha, will look after the retail and the telecom and the digital businesses, for which they are very skilled and adept and technologically savvy. So I think Mukesh will continue to play a very effective role for the next 10 years. And then gradually, I think things will smoothen out and go into the hands of various people, as we will know in the next few years. But currently, I think the patriarch Mukesh will continue, and that's a very good sign that we need a solid person to be there at the helm of affairs for the next decade.
Mr. Haribhakti, how difficult do you think this plan was to make? Mukesh Ambani, of course, first spoke about it at that Reliance Family Day. It marked the birth anniversary of the group's founder, Dhirubhai Ambani. That announcement came in on the 28th of December last year. The buzz was in trying to break down what was happening by way of the succession plan at Reliance is that Mukesh Ambani is following the succession plan perhaps of the Walton family of the US, a family that controls Walmart. They control the board, and the long-term confidants are advisors. Management, by and large, like both of you gentlemen have pointed out, is left to professionals. So in terms of arriving at a succession plan that would be functional, strong, would stand the test of time, would be future ready, how do you think they've been able to do that?
Well, I think Mukesh Bhai has an amazing style of letting people find their own white stone. I have seen him do that time and again in almost every situation. And I think he has done the same. He's applied the same principle to his children. Each one of them have naturally gravitated to a business and to a leadership position in a set of businesses that they are most comfortable with. And Isha seems to have found her white stone in retail, and Anand is also making very, very good forays into the field that he has been put in charge of. And so it became more or less a natural plan. I don't think Mukesh Bhai needed a template to create the succession plan. What he did was he, in his own inimitable style, looked at the resources, looked at the capabilities, looked at what would be required for long-term success. And there's one word that Mukesh Bhai uses very effectively and believes in: sustainability, long-term sustainability of the businesses. And that is what he is attempting to do through this very well-crafted and sensible plan that has been put in place.
Well, both of you gentlemen seem to be having a consensus opinion on how good the succession plan sounds. And perhaps we'll see this perhaps unfold a lot more in times to come that may not be too distant, and we'll keep tracking in. And whether there are other Asian families that will take a leaf out of this succession book is something else that we are watching out for. But Mr. Ranina and Mr. Haribhakti, thank you so much for joining us with your perspective on this. Great to have you with us.